Many years ago, in a quiet rural area of California, there lived an elderly woman named Margaret. She had spent most of her life working on a farm with her husband. Together, they had built everything with their own hands. They once owned wide fields of corn, a small barn, cows, chickens, and fruit trees that gave food every season. Life was never easy, but it was honest. Every sunrise meant work, and every sunset brought peace. Then, one winter, Margaret's husband passed away. After his death, everything changed. Her body grew weak with age, her knees ached badly, and walking even short distances became painful. She could no longer work the fields like before. Slowly, the farm became smaller. Animals were sold. Land was given away piece by piece just to survive. Her only daughter, Linda, and her husband, Robert, moved into the house. At first, Margaret felt comforted. She believed family would protect her in old age. But she was wrong. Linda was no longer the kind girl Margaret remembered. She had become sharp, impatient, and angry. Every small mistake made her shout. Robert, on the other hand, was lazy. He avoided work and spent most of his day sleeping or complaining. Margaret still tried to help. She cooked, cleaned, and did what little work her body allowed, but she grew more tired each day. One cold night, Margaret woke up to whispered voices. "If we keep living like this, we will starve," Robert said quietly. Linda replied in a hard voice, "Then she must go. This house should be ours now." Margaret's heart froze. The next morning, she heard loud sounds outside. When she slowly opened the door, she saw her clothes, blankets, and old shoes thrown onto the dirt. Linda stood there, her arms crossed, her face empty of emotion. "Mother," she said coldly, "you need to leave. We can't take care of you anymore." Margaret's hands trembled. "This is my home," she whispered. "My father and I built it." But Linda turned away and closed the door. Margaret sat on the wooden step all day. She cried until the sun disappeared behind the hills. Neighbors passed, but she was too ashamed to speak. What Linda and Robert did not know was this: Margaret was not helpless. Years earlier, when her husband was still alive, they had saved money little by little. They hid it inside a metal box buried near an old broken fence behind the farm. That night, using all her strength, Margaret walked there. She dug slowly, her hands shaking, her knees burning. At last, she touched the box. Inside was her second chance. With nothing but courage and determination, Margaret walked toward the next village before sunrise. A farming family recognized her. They remembered her kindness from years before. They welcomed her with warm tea, fresh bread, and a small room for the night. The next morning, Margaret asked a simple question: "Is there any land for sale?" There was. She bought a small but fertile piece of land. It wasn't large, but it was enough. Neighbors helped her build a simple wooden house. She planted corn, vegetables, and fruit trees. She raised chickens again. Slowly, life returned. Margaret worked with patience, not anger. She lived peacefully. A young boy from the village often came to help carry water, fix fences, and feed animals. He was respectful and kind. He never asked for money, only guidance and stories. Meanwhile, Linda and Robert's life collapsed. They refused to work. The farm fell apart. The roof leaked. Weeds filled the yard. Hunger and anger ruled their days. They fought constantly. They believed Margaret had nothing. One day, desperate and hungry, Robert walked far in search of work. He reached a beautiful farm with healthy crops and a strong house. He knocked on the door. Margaret opened it. Robert's face went pale. "You?" he whispered. "Yes," she said calmly. He begged for work. He said he had no food, no money, and nowhere to go. Margaret looked at him and said, "I will give you work, but on one condition. You must not tell my daughter that this farm belongs to me." He agreed quickly. Robert worked hard for the first time in his life. Margaret treated him fairly. She never insulted him. She only asked one question every evening: "How is my daughter?" "She is fine," he always said. One morning, Linda followed him. She stood at the gate, shocked by what she saw. A strong house, green fields, her mother standing tall. "You live like this while I suffer?" Linda shouted. "When you finish shouting," Margaret said softly, "we can talk." Linda demanded money, land, anything she could take. Margaret gave her a few coins and closed the door. That money disappeared quickly. Linda and Robert sold their broken house and land. They believed they would inherit Margaret's farm one day. But Margaret had already decided. She wrote her will. "My land shall go to the boy who stood by me when I was alone. My daughter shall receive nothing." When Margaret passed away, the village honored her. Linda and Robert came to claim the farm, but the neighbors told them the truth. Everything now belonged to the boy. Ashamed and silent, they left the village forever. No one saw them again. Friends, remember this. Even when life pushes you away, you can rise. Your worth is not decided by those who abandon you. Courage rebuilds. Kindness grows. Greed destroys. Choose dignity. Choose strength. Choose your own path forward.